It's like
people.
That's essential. Talking to the mic.
Yes, it is essential.
They're supposed to get it. I don't want to not give them out. But
no. Some filmmakers are very good about it, but mostly not really. And I forget.
Right, of course.
Yeah. And I just figured, so I just put no perks and just donate.
Oh,
I'd rather, right?
Then you don't have to.
Yeah, and I don't want to burden them.
It's a burden because it is a burden.
I
think I've heard from a lot of people who've done them Kickstarters, and they do talk about the rewards being the thing that wasn't, because it's a year later, you've earmarked all your money that you've raised, and then you have this thing, and if you're not careful, it's an expensive, time-consuming. Distribution of itself is the rewards.
It's a whole other line item.
Yeah. So I'm trying to minimize physical product. Like one thing I'm doing is a DVD giveaway, but I'm only going to do a handful of those because that's going to be like shipping and handling.
No, that's a lot.
It is.
Anything
so
physical.
Right. So I'm trying to get as many non-physical things like memberships, digital things.
Yeah. That's best.
Handshakes.
I think the handshake. Yeah, but I'd rather not even,
Right.
Let's stop the pretense. It's okay. I just give you the money.
Exactly.
And, I'll support you as a filmmaker. And so to take the stress off as well.
When was the last time we did a podcast, Ramona? It was like...
For Don't Stop,
Don't
maybe?
Stop Believin' was the last time, right?
And it was I believe so. It's been a few years.
Your two producers were with you at the time. It was
yes.
Fahum and
Josh Green
were on the same thing. Yeah, and I'll look that up. So in case people want to get the full Ramona, they can go back and look at that, listen to that one too. That was a fun documentary.
That was fun. Very different from this documentary, but a lot of fun.
Yeah, but the new one is called Motherland, and it's the two documentaries share one thing, and that is they both are essentially about the Philippines, some aspect of the Philippines.
Yes.
You had a singer who was plucked out of nowhere by the lead guitar player for
Neil.
Neil, right from
Neil Schon, yeah,
right from Journey, and plucked out this young man who was just on the kind of brink of, he was already poor.
Yeah, he's on the brink of nothing.
But
of giving up.
Of giving up his music career, and then he, it's like this incredible fairy tale. And now we have something a little bit. Also, it was an astounding cinematic thing, and this is astounding in a different way because you take us into this one room essentially. Almost the entire thing takes place, doesn't it?
Almost. Yeah.
In this one room, it's a big room.
It's a ward.
It's a hospital ward.
Yeah.
It's a maternity ward in the Philippines. Now, is this in Manila or is this in some other city?
It's in Manila.
Oh, it is in Manila.
Yeah.
Okay. And it is the largest, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm just setting things up and then we're going to get into it. You're going to correct me. Usually what happens is I say a lot of things that are inaccurate.
I'll correct you.
The guest corrects me and then they are off on the running. So it's at least, right, it has more birthing going on than any other maternity ward in the world.
It is the busiest maternity hospital in the region for sure. And then they claim the world, which we've never really been able to truly verify, but it seems so. I believe it is like 100 births per 24 hours, which is, okay, so to give you a comparison, the busiest maternity hospital here in the U.S., I think, which is somewhere in Florida, is like 54 births per 24 hours.
And that's really, probably incredible.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so that's a comparison. So it is, as you see in the film, it's pretty... It's like it's chaotic, right? But it's organized chaos.
Well, what emerges, and I think this probably separates itself from any other hospital, at least any in the West, is what emerges is a kind of a almost like a little town. There's a community of sisterhood, if you will. I know that not everybody is in it, but where we do get to meet at least 4 or 5 women in your film who are all have various circumstances going on in their lives, but they all share one thing, and that is giving birth. And the other flip side, which I do want to get into, which I found also actually a little bit more of a surprising or new information for me, was a birth control and sex education, for lack of another word, I guess.
Yeah,
that was going on too with the practitioners.
Yeah, I mean,
there's
really there's no early sex education in the school system in the Philippines.
It's a little after the fact.
Yeah, exactly. So you're always playing catch up, right?
Yeah.
Which is, the crux of the problem.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, have we started?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I get that a lot, actually, because I kind of slide into things very conversationally. So you don't know when the podcast begins, and you don't know when it ends. Okay. It's just happening.
All right, that's good. I'm into that.
But if you wanted to take a step backward and set something up, I understand.
No, I mean, I was going to say, because the whole reason for this film, I was researching a completely different film. Not completely. I was researching another film that had to do with reproductive health and reproductive justice in Manila. And it was about the reproductive health bill that was coursing through Philippine Congress. So it was more a procedural film. Mm-hmm. But I was also very interested in the social and cultural drama around it. Because it was a very basic, seemingly basic bill, right? It provided contraception for everyone, widely accessible family planning methods, early sex education, and maternal care. So it seems so simple, but the Catholic Church is very powerful in the Philippines, and they were against it because they're against contraception, etc. And of course, sex education. It's like it promotes sex or something. All the arguments. So that was what I was interested in. So I was researching that, and while I was researching that film in Manila, they said you really have to visit Fabella Hospital because it is a baby factory, they call it in the Philippines. So when I visited the hospital, I knew within the first 30 minutes that my film was in that hospital. And I would still be dealing with the same themes, like, reproductive justice, reproductive health. It was all in there. It was more cinematic. And because this other film, I was trying to wrap my head around all the arguments I've heard. There was no nuance. I couldn't find any nuance in the arguments pro and against this bill. And even the social drama around it was, wasn't all I had imagined when I wrote the proposal from afar. You read all these articles from, I'm here in the U.S. and it's happening in Manila, so I imagine it to be more dramatic and robust. And you get there, not really, right? Mm-hmm. So I was saying, oh my God, what is my film? So when I visited the hospital, I'm like, okay, this is it. This is a film I'm meant to make. Mm-hmm. So that's how that started. And yes, playing catch up with, and then you see family planning scenes in the film. They are playing catch up because there is no sex education. And some of these women are very also tied to the Catholic Church and what their parents want.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, they're at real odds. They're stuck in this very difficult position.
Yeah,
and it seems like a state of an emergency as far as the state is concerned, because I guess maybe poverty and overpopulation, I assume, and unemployment clearly is a big problem.
Oh yeah,
because
absolutely.
Because it comes up in the film.
Yeah.
And so you have to tackle these issues, and so one way is to try to lower the population, to encourage those women who probably already don't necessarily want to be pregnant, but give them some options,
Yeah, and just really, and it comes down to education, because remember that one woman that the nurse was talking to when she goes, well, we really, we only had sex once, it was an accident. And the nurse goes, yeah, accidents happen. Mm-hmm. It takes only one time. Mm-hmm. So to even make that connection, because she goes, no, we weren't really having sex. It was just once.
Sure.
It was an accident.
Right.
She goes, well, yeah, that's what happens.
Right, exactly. The idea is to communicate, not to challenge the women. They're dealing with what their world as best as possible, it seems.
Yeah.
And so the smarter nurses have to kind of deal with that, and not try to undo this tangled situation.
Because that would be so complicated.
They're talking. You're going against the church, which is, as you already said, is extremely powerful a voice in the Philippines. So.
Yeah, so they do have to straddle. It's a very fine line, right? Because they can't seem to be coercing the women to take the IUD, ligation almost especially, but yet try to be, sort of forceful enough, tell them, really the situation, you're 26, you've had 6 kids. Maybe it's time to think of an IUD,
Yeah.
So that very basic thing. And, oh, I don't want to. I want to go home. It's like, no, you're here already. Yeah. Please do it already. And it's free. Oh, my God,
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's an investment. I mean, right? Because if you can somehow change the cultural mind frame around birth and, sex education, etc., in the long term, you're saving, the country saves money because you don't have there's hopefully a decrease over time in population, and resources. There's limited resources in the Philippines, right?
Yeah.
And employment, just to name two things, and it's clearly they're they're hemorrhaging somewhere in the country, right? Is hemorrhaging in various ways. So
yeah,
there's an urgency to change things, right?
And just to figure out how to tide. Really,
right.
But it's still, I'm going to give away the ending of the film, but the film talks about the 100 millionth baby, right, at the end.
Oh yeah, right. I almost forgot.
Yeah, so it's 100 million in the Philippines. We filmed it. Wait, when did we film? 2014. So now it's like 102 million because it grows by, what is that? Some percentage here, 2% a year. I don't know, but now
Sounds
it's 102. So it's still growing,
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not going to decrease, obviously, but it's still at a pace where it's not sustainable.
Mm-hmm. I've had on this week, I'm going to be putting up a conversation with Frederick Wiseman. There's almost a kinship here, a man who makes, I guess the most accessible word I can put out there is verite filmmaking, where you're not interviewing people. We're just essentially a fly on the wall, and as we are in, what's the name of the hospital again?
Fabella
Memorial Hospital. I always uncomfortable when they call a maternity ward a memorial hospital. I don't like those. But I get it. I understand.
But it is a maternity hospital.
It is a maternity hospital.
Nothing else happens there but births.
It is a baby factory, as they say, rather. But was this a conscious effort, or did you think there's just really no other way except for to train your cameras on these women?
Yes, from the very beginning. So it was intentional.
Yeah.
Because I think I wanted to give the audience the experience I had when I first visited the hospital. I was just dropped into the middle of the ward, and I had to figure it out. I wasn't talking to any of the staff. I was just walking around listening to the snippets of conversation amongst the women on that, on the beds. And I said, wow, this is really incredible. So I wanted to mimic that experience in the film. Mm-hmm. So really, the film just drops you in the middle of this hospital.
It does.
And then you're off to the races, right?
There's no real beginning and end. The ending you could argue is yes, there's like a few of the women leave. They kind of, we watch them.
Yeah. So it's just a slice.
There is, and you get a sense of closure. It's true. And then there is that little, spoiler.
I
want to talk to you, though, about your relationship with the Philippines. As a Filipino yourself, and as someone who makes films about the Philippines, I know you premiered at Sundance, which congratulations on that. That's got to help you. And you've had this really great career as a documentary filmmaker.
Thanks.
But what's your relationship with the Philippines as far as showing your films?
Like everywhere, documentaries are hard sell, difficult. But my first film, Imelda.
Right. I almost forgot about that. Yeah. I've seen that, by the way.
Yeah.
So I have seen it. You just didn't do the podcast after Imelda. That's the problem.
Oh, we didn't. Was it even around? I don't know.
Maybe I don't think I had started, but maybe we met during that period, possibly because I was working at the POV for a period.
Oh, okay.
And was that
No, it was at IL.
Oh.
It went to IL.
Okay.
But,
that's Independent Lens.
Oh, yeah, that's Independent Lens.
Sorry.
Yeah, so Imelda was the very first documentary released theatrically in Manila, and it was highly successful. Simply because it's Imelda.
It's called Imelda,
and also because she sued me. I don't know if you know that she sued.
Oh, let's get into it.
Yeah, she sued me and my distributors for invasion of privacy and sullying her good name.
Did you have? It's been a while. I do remember seeing it, but it's been a long time. Did you interview her?
Yes, I mean she's in it. She gave us full access to her life.
Full access.
Yeah.
And what was her situation during the film? Was she was Ferdinand dead, or did he already pass away from some time ago?
Passed. She was I think she was Congresswoman.
Oh, right.
From her hometown, from Leyte.
Okay.
So she was actively in politics.
Okay. Yeah.
And they had returned from exile, obviously, to be Congresswoman.
That's right.
And I think her children had returned from exile, so they were on the rise again, the Marcoses. That was the time. But also, I came into her life when the media, Jenna had gone home, right? So she wanted some kind of attention. I think that's why she said yes. She said yes to everything. I mean, we were fully in her life.
She had I don't know if it's addiction, but,
I think people
attention.
are used to media attention, never get
attention,
over it.
Attention.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. And politicians most especially,
Yeah.
Especially they were in power for very long. So I think I came into her life at the right moment. But at the end of the day, I had a conversation with, that also premiered at Sundance. So I had a conversation with her before the premiere. I showed it to her. Not personally, but I had someone show it to her. And she didn't really she had minor problems with it, but then
which
she
is
let
to be
it
expected,
go.
right?
Yeah. And I told her, we can't change it anymore, but she let it go. She was fine. The only time she really then turned around and sued us when it got reviewed, right, by the press, because it had a theatrical out here. It was at the Film Forum, etc. So the Times reviewed it, and then she suddenly saw herself through the eyes of the critics.
I see.
And so they called her pariah and everything. And that's when she said, oh, my gosh, no, this is not a good film.
Well, the genie's already out of the bottle.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, one little quick question. She gave you full access, but right? And then, but that also includes final, she doesn't have any decision on any
editorial control.
Of course, it's going to be, it's easy to market a film that you called Imelda in the Philippines and one that's kind of going to have a commercial success elsewhere as well. So the Philippines are probably going to embrace this film.
I don't think that was a given. I mean, the reason I think we beat Spider-Man 2 in the capital the first weekend, and the reason for that is because she sued us. So what was a small entertainment story in the entertainment pages of the dailies migrated to the front page because she sued us, and every day she would come out with she'd have a press conference about the case. I mean, it was crazy.
Yeah.
So everyone suddenly knew about this film.
She's only helping, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And of course, there were jokes that, maybe we were in collusion with Imelda
right.
which is funny,
all,
which we were not.
Right.
But
for the record.
Yeah, for the record. So that's what happened. I don't think it was a given. Documentaries still are a hard sell.
And then Don't Stop Believing would be, I'm trying to think it through, and I'm just not coming up with a problem that the Philippines might have with that film.
Yeah.
That just seems in a way from your bootstraps type of story.
Yeah.
Filipino makes good, and Filipino Americans are
we had a
going
few
nuts.
screenings of Don't Stop There, but
I remember that.
It wasn't it's never been broadcast. It never had theatrical run, which is so weird for us. It's like we don't know why. We don't know why that is, because it's a very
popular.
It's a very high concept film in a way, right? To get it.
Yeah, and people should go check that out. If you haven't seen it, it's a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember seeing it at Tribeca, and it would, just on a big screen with great sound, and
and the band and Arnell coming up, running up to the stage after. It's great.
Yeah. And now to this film, which I kick myself because it wasn't at Sundance, but I would love to have seen it on a big screen because this is just such an enormous. It's crazy. There are women, literally 3 to a bed.
Yeah,
in some cases.
It's showing at Cinema Village until Thursday. So if you want to see it on a big screen,
thank you, thank you. Only if you agree to do the Q&A afterward with me.
I've done it. I did it over the weekend.
I know. Well,
we should have done the weekend.
Oh well, it's okay. We'll do it for your next film.
Okay.
I promise. Now that you mention it, I'm going to put this up by Thursday. So this is maybe when you're listening to this, everybody in New York, this is your last day to see in New York. The good news is if you're in Los Angeles, it's going to be in 2 weeks on the 22nd.
The 22nd.
The Friday the 22nd.
Friday.
It's going to be playing at the Laemmle Monica, which is a lot of the people I talk to on the show end up with their film playing at the Laemmle Monica. So I'm going to assume it's the Laemmle, that Laemmle especially plays a lot of great art films.
Yeah, the
and
Monica
whatnot.
Film Center. Yes.
Yeah. So in Santa Monica.
Yeah.
So go out and see it. And now, as a separate issue, I can edit even, but you have a broadcast?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
POV October 16th.
It is POV. Okay,
Yes.
that's why. Yeah, okay. So when
I thought you were here for POV. Am I?
No. What happened was I associate you with the POV because maybe I've run into you a couple of times at POV. Did we also run into each other there?
Probably.
At the party, like at their season?
I didn't do that part. Yeah.
Oh, this year? Okay.
Yeah,
anyhow, I must have looked over the notes and just seen that it was.
Yeah.
Okay, so it will be broadcasting on
October 16th.
Oh, on October 16th.
Our windows are very tight this year.
Yeah, they're okay with that, huh? Well, it's just New York City, LA. Come on, yeah, of course. One week in New York.
It's still playing festivals after the broadcast.
It's amazing.
It's still playing next year. There are a few domestically
here.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
In the U.S. I think that's happening more.
Do you
and
have
more.
to be there for those then? Because what's the value add if they can see it on POV?
I think more so then, right? I should do the Q&As because that's really why
that's
people
what I'm saying.
come out.
Exactly. Right. They're going to want to engage and kind of get into your brain a little bit about like I do. I have that advantage, you know.
Yeah.
October 16th for the PBS premiere. And, that is coming right up. I have to make sure I put that in my calendar so I can re-promote. But I'm going to put this up as soon as possible so we can promote,
the theatricals,
get the tiny bit out of the New York, get the L.A. theatrical, because it's good to get people into theaters. Yeah. And then, of course, we can continue on into the broadcast in a couple of weeks. In a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
That's all wonderful. Yeah, this is a great POV film, actually. I agree. I was looking for a comfortable place where we could both do the podcast, and I thought, well, I had thought you have a relationship with the POV, so,
I do,
and
actually.
As do I.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, let me see if they will host us for this.
I'm sure they would have.
They did.
Oh, they did.
No, we could have done it there. It turns out, but I didn't find out until I just found out literally as I was emailing back and forth with the guys at POV. An email came in from your publicist Alicia, who then said, "Oh, we have the apartment." And this is even better.
Okay, yeah.
And then I don't feel like, we're infringing and should we run over? There's no issues.
Right.
So, and this is a little easier for you, I'm sure.
Yeah, because it's been a long weekend. I'm going from event to event to event.
Although it's like literally 5 minutes to POV.
I know.
It's one stop, I think.
Right.
Wall Street to York, to Clark. I think you have to go to...
it crosses a bridge. Yeah.
Then you have to walk a few.
Yeah. So I thank you for coming here.
Oh, it's my... It's great. It's fine. I enjoy it. And, I get a special pleasure out of bringing people back into the show because I feel like one thing I can do with my podcast is I can kind of create a little community, especially with people that I just appreciate their work and what they're doing. And I think the more people that know about it, the better,
Yeah.
And so this is your second visit on the show. Yeah. So that's nice. And so I like to read.
So a second film on POV.
It is. Okay.
Yeah.
It's because was Don't Stop Believin on it? Or did you have a short on?
Don't Stop and Imelda went to Independent Lens and The Learning and
The Learning. That I know I saw. Yeah. That was right.
That will be at POV. So two.
Okay.
I've made 4 features.
And they're
two Independent Lens.
The Learning was before Imelda?
The Learning was after Imelda.
Okay. Aren't I doing great? I have a lot of editing to do, so I don't make mistakes. I don't make mistakes on my show.
We can do it again, so it's easier.
No. It's okay. I don't have to keep... This doesn't have to be in the show.
Yeah, I know. Okay.
Yeah, but so you had 2 films on Independent Lens and 2 on POV. Can you tell the filmmakers that are listening, especially, of course, the documentary filmmakers, how that's done? Thank you. Go ahead. Do you not know how... I mean, that is an amazing... situation.
Yeah. I mean, every time I make a film, I'm surprised. It's like, really? You want this? You're going to broadcast it? Especially Motherland, as you see. I mean, that's a harder sell. Yeah. And there are a lot of, Yeah. It's
a good title, though. It'll get people just on that.
Thank you.
Yeah,
but, there's breastfeeding and birth and all that. Yeah. You see it all.
Well, that was another thing I was going to ask you about. I don't know, you say, we know that the Catholic Church was already mentioned. Is already, I guess they had nothing to do with it. I mean, did everybody kind of sign the releases? Do you have to?
Oh, yeah.
And here I am breastfeeding. Here I am talking about sex. Maybe I wasn't married. I don't know. I have these.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they were so open. And I think because I spent a lot of time at the hospital before actually shooting to explain to them what it was I wanted. Okay, this is a hospital that's been covered in the media before, in the press, BBC, CNN. They've done short pieces, right?
Okay.
And they've been there for 2 days. And so the fact that I wanted to be there for 6 weeks was a totally different thing for them. It's like, really, why?
We're going to be there for an entire trimester.
Exactly. So they just couldn't understand what do you want from us for 6 weeks? So I really had to explain that, that your everyday life, whatever happens, and for them it's routine. It's not exciting at all.
No.
And I'm like, you have no idea.
And I will say, it's just mesmerizing more than it is exciting.
It is.
This film.
Yeah.
There's no, I don't know, there's no like moment, in particular that comes to mind. It's like just as a whole watching this incredible village. It's a village inside this maternity ward.
Absolutely. And I think that's what drew me to it.
Yeah.
Too. I mean, especially the community that the women form around the beds.
Right.
It is a community, and they share everything, right? And first of all, they share such a private space.
Right? An intimacy forms.
Yeah, and
an intimacy emerges.
Yeah, and comfortably so, right?
Yeah.
But also because of their living conditions outside, right?
Yeah.
They're used to sharing, being in tight spaces,
right?
But that they're very generous as well, right? And they're really in very profound relationships that form, but they're very fleeting relationships because they're never going to see each other again after.
The best thing I can compare it to, Ramona, is when you're doing a play or a film as an actor or as a crew, somebody. And you're all there, and you're all crammed into this world for this finite period of time, and then the day comes and it ends, and then you go back to your other life, and those relationships are kind of more or less over. I mean, or that community has disbanded.
Yeah, but even with a film crew, you're probably going to work with each other again at some point. Maybe.
Well, with these women, let's face it, it's not.
Yeah, but those women are probably. Anyway. It's sad to say, but they probably will be.
Yeah.
Revisiting Fabelia back the next year, whatever.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Right.
But for the most part, right? They make plans to see each other, but that's never going to happen.
Did you screen the film for any of these women? Or for the hospital? Or for
December, because that's when I go back.
Oh, you're going to do it?
I'm going to do it. It hasn't been done yet.
Right.
Yeah. And hopefully we get a distributor in the Philippines as well.
Gotcha. And was there a POV edit? Was there a PBS edit?
Yeah, it's 83 minutes. Though.
Okay, yeah.
So the theatrical is 93.
Okay, just minutes.
Yeah.
Right. But that's a lot.
10,
it's not easy
9,
ever.
10 minutes.
Right?
Yeah. No, it isn't easy, but at least it's still the hour and a half. It's not a broadcast hour.
Length, yeah.
It's a 90-minute hour, broadcast hour, yeah.
Again, Motherland, which premiered festival-wise at Sundance, it's had this real kind of quite this charmed path. Is currently at the Cinema Village in New York City. Will be at the Laemmle Monica starting September 22nd, and then on POV on PBS. Check your local PBS affiliate for details. But that day is October the 15th. You said
16th.
16th. Excuse me. That day will be October 16th.
But come out to the theater if you can, because I think it's really fun to see it in the big screen.
Will you be in LA for a couple of days?
I will be in LA doing, over the first weekend doing Q&As.
Perfect, okay.
Yeah.
Great, all right.
And then later on in the year, do you want to know what later on in the year? It's going to be on Amazon Prime in December.
Okay, yeah, all right.
So it's going to run the whole, all the platforms.
A lot of people are going to be able to, a lot of opportunities to see Motherland.
Yes. But come out to the theaters if you can.
And by the way, I just want to mention there are a lot of, I'm trying to kind of wind it down just because of but you'll meet a lot of the fathers too in this film, and they run the gamut also of personality. Some that are really, emotionally involved and really, really into being dads, and then some of them have struggled more with it, and it's just like anybody really. I mean, I guess because that happens here too. Yeah. And then there's partum issues and postpartum issues, and it's
always. I mean, right? It's a hopeful.
Yeah.
It's a room full of women who've just given birth. Can you imagine?
Hormone.
But they,
Yeah.
The hormones
crazy,
but they're still very calm and gracious. Don't you find?
Yes, I do.
And they're very quiet when they give birth. That's also women who come. I've shown this in many festivals, and women always come up to me and say, why didn't they scream? I mean, it's such a quiet labor room. And I'm like, it was incredible. Yeah. And I've asked the nurses, I'm like, when we were filming, I'm like, why don't they? They go, these are women who've given birth a lot. It was very interesting because I found the women less sentimental about the birthing process than the men. The men were a little, more sentimental about it.
Yeah. Oh.
Of course, that doesn't mean they love their baby less, etc. But there was a let's get this over with. Let's just let's just do this.
Yeah,
kind of.
I mean, the first time it's all very exciting and all, but by the third or fourth time, it's or fifth or sixth,
or more, in some instances.
Yeah. Ramona, thank you.
Oh, this is fun as always.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Thanks, Adam. Thanks for having me on your podcast.
Anytime.